Welcome everybody to another edition of Sunday Market Outlook. It is the last day of March here on Easter weekend. We are heading into Q2 of 2024, right? It has been an amazing start to the year. Shout out to all of you who are watching the recording of this via YouTube, Telegram, whatever the case is. I got my co-host right here, Mr. Brent Badal, in the building, and we are ready to get into things. So, you got us with the fundamentals, bro?
Yep. Yep.
Let's get
You
it.
already know it. All right. So as of right now, we have bank holidays. Obviously, the majority of things that we trade here is gold, NAS, a little bit of US 30, but primarily Rich and I trade NAS gold. Those are two things. But right now, if you do trade any other pairs, this week is we're going to run into a lot of bank holidays this week. So if you do trade more of the forex major minor pairs, you do want to keep an eye on a lot of stuff. But right now, the market is open for gold. It is pushing still to the high. Breaking higher highs. So right now we're chill for the night. Tomorrow we're pretty chill. I mean, we do have the ISM manufacturing PMI. So we do have that tomorrow. We do have construction spending, but there's really nothing heavy that we should see tomorrow. Really in that news, again, a lot of bank holidays in other countries that it could affect other pairs. But as far as gold and NAS, we should be seeing a nice little move there. Everything kind of flowing through. I do like the time of the news, as I mentioned before in past weeks. It's really important for me the time of the news. So this is going to be a good morning, right? We're coming up from the first day of the month right away, hitting quotas. So we're starting to set where those quotas need to be met for the end of the month, quarter, the whole nine. So we have opening bell happening 8:30, and then we have 9 right away, the SMI. So it keeps it a really good high volume, high pace morning to start off the week and the month. Tuesday, we run into Jolts opening, which has been heavier and heavier throughout every single time we see Jolts. Jolts is job openings that we see. It's been impacting more every single time as far as what the move is. Jolts do nothing at all. Like we would see Jolts as a yellow folder. It would not move at all the market. And now we've seen it consistently do that little push of maybe just 10, 20 pips, not a lot, but it's been enough to really now be something to catches our eye at that point. And then we have a couple FOMC speakers. Nothing that we should be really concerned of as far as the market moving Tuesday for FOMC stuff. But Wednesday, yes. So Wednesday, we definitely start getting more attention after this. I think it's going to be the heavier day that we're going to run into Wednesday. For Wednesday, we have the ADP non-employment change. So big move, and it's happening at 7:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. So we have gold typically move anywhere between 7:15 already as it is. And then we have opening bell at 8:30. And then after that, we have more high impact news. And then after that again. So as you can see consecutively, we're going to have a lot of, I believe, up and downs this Wednesday, which I like those type of days. We could hit for the daily. We could hit that higher high, that lower of the day, back and forth, and get a nice amount of pips. And really, this should be hopefully the day that we get some major corrections. If you've been following gold with us, you've seen that gold has been pushing really high. I mean, it's high. It's breaking highs right now. It's all-time highs. It's particularly you're going to hear a lot of people say that really. How you hear the big noise about when Bitcoin was in those high highs, almost close where it's really at that 70s again, and you keep on hearing that Bitcoin 100K. Kind of that's what's happening with gold right now. Like gold is all-time high, all-time high. Like we're constantly saying all-time high because it's continuously breaking where gold has never been. Which to me personally, I know Rich is going to go over the chart, but for me personally, it's not something healthy for the market really. And the charts when we're just having just continuously all-time highs break with no correction. Wednesday could be that day where we could see a big major correction come in, help the dollar too for those that live in the United States or you're in a kind of foreign country that depends a lot or leans a lot on the United States dollar. Then we need that correction, right? We need that gold to drop a little bit for the dollar's health at that point too. So we have plenty of news for that. ADP non-employment change, ISMI service PMI, final service PMI, federal power. Buddy Powell speaking, of course, if you purchased just recently, I think last week is when they added news trading for TradexMastery. You're able to trade news now, so it's going to be a really fun day to trade if your platform account is allowed to trade. If you did put that hat on to trade, we're going to have lots of fun on Wednesday. So that's really one of the biggest days that we're going to run into. And then Thursday, a little bit more news. We have unemployment claims, trade balance, natural gas. We have a couple of more FOMC speakers. Nothing like what Powell would do, but we still have some FOMC speakers as well. But unemployment change is really the unemployment claims is the biggest one. And again, time. Like I said, gold likes to make that move, 715, right? And then 7:30, we have ISM, we have unemployment claims. Then we go right into an hour later, opening bell. So again, news after news after news. It keeps the market moving. It keeps that New York market with lots of volume for us to make sure we can capitalize as much as possible from it. And then Friday, we close out strong again. As you guys know, I only trade on Fridays if there's news. But this is a great time for that. 7:30 Central Standard Time. We have average hourly earnings, unemployment, non-employment change, unemployment rate. So big, heavy, heavy news hitting that right away. As we always look at news, it always goes into inflation, a lot of different things that's happening, interest rates, recession. So this week is definitely a heavy week. And the reason for that is because it's a new month, right? We're running into that new month, that new quarter. So there has to be this foundation laid out for what we're going to run into for the rest of the month. So lots of good news. Just make sure you pay attention. Like I've always said, take this serious. Make sure that in your routine, when you wake up, brush your teeth, this, that, whatever you're doing, make sure that you set either the night before to say, hey, what news is happening tomorrow morning, just in case you're not awake at that time. Or when you wake up, it's early enough to say, okay, this is what's happening today. Maybe put some calendar reminders just to know that it will move at that time and it will move heavy to make sure either you are, if you're in a trade, maybe partial, secure a couple profits just in case it does get you wicked out for that move, or maybe capitalize on that, right? Start looking at the chart at that point. Start maybe waiting for a trade alert from one of us or a live session from one of us educators that we're looking at trades at that moment to really go through there. And of course, Rich is the one that has his sessions later on during the day to where he analyzes a lot of what happened, what's going on, obviously, with his strategy. So this is a week you're definitely going to want to pay attention to kind of what Rich is doing in his live sessions because there's a lot of movement that we're going to be seeing. So there's going to be a lot of stuff you want to be prepared for this week. You don't want to kind of just coast it through, chill through, and just hop on a chart just because. This is one of those weeks you definitely want to make sure you have everything scouted out and you're ready to do what you got to do. But yeah, expect some trade alerts from me on the news side of things. If you're on Tradex and you don't have that add-on, make sure you're doing it. I'm still gonna send it, guys. So make sure you're the ones who know. I don't know if you did that add-on or not. So if you did do that add-on, great. If you did not put that add-on to trade news, then don't take it. No worries. I'm not gonna be sad or anything like that. I understand that you guys can't trade that news, but I'm looking forward to sending some fun alerts here for the news side of things. But that's it for me, Rich.
All right, fantastic. Appreciate you, bro, for always breaking that down. Honestly, I've really like you've taught me some things on the fundamentals for sure because I've kind of always ignored anything that wasn't red folders, and I see the value of not doing that. So shout out to you, bro. Where did you start learning about fundamentals, if I can ask, bro?
So it was just the rebel in me. I was told way back then, right, when I started with that years ago. And then after that, I kind of left that company, and then I started looking into the forex side, and I was told, hey, don't trade opening bell, don't trade news. Why? So the curious rebel side of me was like, this makes no sense. And I started off with Euro USD. That was like my pair that started, and I was like, this is boring. Like I cannot coming from 1 minute binary spikes to forex Euro USD. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna do this. And then I started seeing like, wait, what just happened? Like that was basically a 1 minute binary spike. And then I just started going down that rabbit hole, just deep diving, going into it, reading all the stuff that's on Forex Factory, and just again, just that repetition, right? Looking at the calendar, I literally would go in and say like, okay, today it moved, and it was this Powell. I don't know who this dude is. When's the last time he spoke? Oh, damn! Like there's another spike at that time. When's the last time he spoke? And I was like, okay, I could see there's a repetition here, and then I
Correlation,
just
yeah.
started following one through the other. Yeah. So it was just somebody told me no, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna do it. That was
Like,
pretty much it.
say less. Yeah, that's awesome, bro. All right, cool. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna share my chart here really quickly. If you guys were here last week, I think last time I checked when we were on this market outlook, me and Brent called a little buy at 2170. And I think as you guys can see, the fruits of what the heck that has led to because I mean, it was a perfect buy spot. I mean, honestly, just from a structural perspective, price, we kind of made this little wick and then we started retracing a little bit lower, right? But we never really got any significant drops. And I told you, when we started seeing these drops, that this was really kind of like, that wedge formation type of thing. We ended up getting a breakout above that. We retested. Honestly, like I hate retail pattern trading. I'm always the first one to be against it. But there are times why there's a reason why wedges and stuff like that exists and why they do work from time to time. Because this was a textbook like wedge, breakout, retest, and continuation type of play. I mean, this was like the easiest gold buy ever, to be quite honest. Like this is as clean as it gets. And really where we're at right now, guys, I'm the type of person where I like to really trade on pullbacks and at levels where we retrace, if that makes sense. So right now, like I'm not the type to be part of a like just what's the word for it? I always think ballistic, but it's not, that's not the word. It's like price has already left the building. Like we're like literally like the shuttle launched and we're like breaking the stratosphere almost in space right now. And we know it's gonna keep going into space, but like I want to try to get in when it's liftoff time, right? And that's what this was. Right now, we like the move has happened. For me personally, there are people that trade with momentum and trade like just with again momentum, really. That's the only reason why you'd be getting into trades right now. Obviously we can scale into smaller time frames and look for smaller things, but for the most part, the bullishness on gold was to be expected, and right now we are in uncharted territory, right? I mean, we are literally in all-time high territory. So where we can go from now, I mean, we can go to $3,000 gold, like we can. It's the same reason why people say like, oh, we're gonna head towards 100K Bitcoin. I don't know where they get those projections from, if it's just Fibonacci extensions or whatever, right? Like that's just speculation. Right now, all we can do is speculate about this whole like question mark that is gold. And this is important to have a conversation about, guys, because sometimes people don't realize that we like people just look at trading as like this one, like okay, like trading is just a one-dimensional thing, like oh we just buy and sell, but there's context. Trading is, it's all about having a lot of context, and the context that we're in right now with gold is that we are in all-time highs, we are in uncharted territory, and we are making history every second that passes, literally. So that means that we have to adapt to um that type of price action, right? If we're in a consolidating market or we're ranging between prices that have already been historically like marked up and we've seen reactions, then we kind of know, where to jump in and out of. Right now, all I can say is keep buying gold. Every time it pulls back, buy gold. Every time it pulls back, buy gold. That sounds so basic and so simple, but that's the type of environment that we're in. There's nothing that tells us that we are guaranteed bearish until we finally get price to slow down. Like right now, you see it's just explosion, pullback, explosion. Right now, this is where I would personally wait, because why they're gonna sit around again and then explode again, right? Or at some point, this whole momentum that we've seen here is gonna stop at some point, right? And it's gonna spike, drop, and then shift structure, and then maybe retrace into here. Maybe then we start working our way down here. But again, all of this is just speculation. We don't know what the heck's happening right now. We only know that gold is exploding, and if it pulls back into this old high or anywhere in this price, then we probably want to buy and take in new heights, right? So that's as simple as it gets. Again, personally, I don't chase price that's already mid move. For me, this is like mid to late move already from the buys down here, which were called last Sunday. This is where I'd be taking profit already from the buys from last week. Like this is where we're exiting trades because we already broke a new high. We've already, had a lot of volume. So this would be profit taking hour for me based off the trades we called last week. So that's where I'm at with gold. Again, this level is important, previous high, right? So just seeing how price reacts off of there. We get new highs. If not, we break lower, maybe come to this level again. Basic structure 101 stuff is what I would say for gold. So Brent, I don't know if you want to give your thoughts on gold first before we move into like NAS and stuff like that, but
No, yeah, it's what you said, right? It's a very confusing situation, right? Because it's a lot of times when we scalp, I mean, if you scalp with me, we wait for those highs, right? We want to, even though that's when I teach a channeling, right? Even though it's going up, doesn't mean we can't sell. It's not that you're going against the trend, but we're scalping so fast, or it's not like it's a buy and we're selling for 100 pips. We're just going three and three out quick. But here it's like, where is that high? Like there really is no level right now to say, okay, this is the high, even though we're uptrending, let's go ahead and sell. So that's where it's like a little bit dangerous. That's where you need to really just sit on your hands. Like one of those things to where you need to adapt, right? Like I literally want gold to consolidate. And that sounds horrible. Like you would think like we want it to go up or down, right? To be able to go into a buy or sell. No, I wanted to consolidate and start making those like Richard, right? Those retail kind of candles, those candle patterns. I wanted to make that wedge to be if it's going to be an ascending flag, descending flag. Like I need some sort of data for there, and there's not. The only thing that I like is that last line that you put there, Rich, of that last high for it to come down, and then I'd be interested in looking for a buy down there. Like, sure, why not, right? And if it breaks it, then I'll wait for retest it and take a sell off of that, and then we continue down. Uh, I last week, I know we always say numbers just to say, and I say it just for fun a lot of times, right? I said 2250. The reason why I said 2250, even though it was a new high, was measuring off those big impulses that gold typically does. Usually will run for so many amount of pips, right? So when I did on my chart, when I measured it out last week, I was like, okay, cool, we should hit somewhere around 2250 based off the impulses if it wants to continue going up. Right now there's nothing really for me to go back to and say, okay, cool, I'm going to base it off this measurement. That's the beauty of a lot of times looking at two different pairs. So like right now this week, I'm probably going to focus a little bit more on NAS US 30 to scalp in the morning sessions because gold, I don't really know. Like obviously my session is until Tuesday. So between now and Tuesday, hopefully there's some sort of consolidation pattern. It's breakthrough to be like, okay, cool, we're gonna scalp some gold again. Right now, I have no interest. Obviously, the only thing that I would do if I needed to trade right now, I would be in the 1 minute doing a reset. I would be in the 1 minute waiting for it. As soon as it went down, I'll buy, get out, and then get out. And I'll just be doing that for like 10 pips, 10 pips, 10 pips, 10 pips. And once it breaks, I'll be like, okay, I'm done. I lost one, I'm done for the night. But there's no sense on doing that. There's no sense on just pushing it to trade just to trade. So right now, myself, I'm sitting on my hands for sure. See what happens overnight. See what happens Monday. Obviously, I said we have a ton of news. I'm really hoping we come back down into that kind of 22 at least. It would be really nice to start dancing around back again into that 21 to 20, kind of two and a half, kind of just around that ballpark, really where we were last, what was it, a week, I would say, in a sense, where we can have kind of back there again to see if it wants to break down or if it wants to continue up, either or. But yeah, fun times to live in for sure. Once I'm excited to as soon as hopefully one of us educators could find that cell. Because once this cell happens, it's gonna be just beautiful. I mean, we're gonna talk about the sell of the month, right? It's gonna be amazing. When is it happening? It couldn't happen probably in 6 months by all we know, right? It could not even happen in the next few days. So fun times to live in. But yeah, that's what I got to for gold. So not much.
Yeah, for sure. I saw a question here about holding the trade the whole week. So, me personally, like again, with the signals that I've been sending out, just because there's so many educators that have really kind of like stepped into like the gold zone, I've really limited my personal signals to just literally NAS. Like all my trades have been NAS. Obviously I introduced the whole Liberty strategy at the event, and I've been running that, and it's been going well. But as far as gold, I mean, I do the analysis, right? I send it on here on the Sunday market outlooks. It was in confluence with what Brent said. Me personally, when if you guys recall when we were talking about it, the entry that was stated on there was 2170. We didn't really give it as a signal though, right? On these Sunday market outlooks, like we have our individual signals that typically take place like in the AM and in the New York session with the respective what's it called? Um like live sessions like Brent does, right? But Brent scalps. So like in general, the analysis that I did on Sunday with him was very simply put, we had price again kind of create this descending wedge pattern here, kind of just like trying to go sell, but it wasn't really working. And then obviously we had this explosion to the upside. So at that point, we're just looking at retracement levels. And what happened was basically from like the lows that were printed here all the way to the high that was put in, right? We always try to go anywhere below 62 to like 79%. Usually is my nice retracement levels, which we see price kind of slow down within here, and then we start working our way back up. Right. So very simple like market structure that was basically taking place where we had these lows. We broke structure, made a new high, we retraced into deeper retracement levels, and then we started making our way back up. Typically, when we're looking at structure, and this kind of goes in general, like whether you trade, with the style that Brent does, or whether you do what I do, structure is structure. We have a high, we make a low, we make a higher high, and then we wait for a higher low to form, and that's where we typically want to get in, and then we're targeting the next, high point in the market to exit position. That's why I say that the buys really were here and we're profit taking at this point from the entries last week. Now, the smaller, like quicker targets that were discussed were assuming that we wouldn't make a new high, we'd stop somewhere in this deeper retracement range where we have this imbalance. And we see that when we spike into that zone, we do get a steep reaction. That's why I like taking, partials or whatever out of here. So yeah, that's what it was. But yeah, if we're looking at something on a 1 hour or a 4 hour time frame, then whenever you have these highs and lows that took, again, several days to play out, that means that you're gonna be in a trade for several days to a whole week. So yeah, that whole trade idea did take basically a week from start to finish. But again, that's why you gotta find your style, right? That's why Brent scalps. A lot of people, they trade smaller time frames, like 5 minute, 15 minute, or whatever, because they're able to get in and out of trades within the same day, hour, couple minutes, etc. Me, again, personally, I just trade a lot on the 1 hour, 30 minutes. So my trades do take a day, sometimes a second day to play out personally. So it just depends. But that's what I would say. Cool. So with Nas, so we had a pretty crazy like opening Sunday. As you can see, literally just like ballistic move happened right here as soon as it opened up. And this was something that I was anticipating. We actually did hit TP1 on this trade that was called out on Friday for me, where we basically were trading out of like this Liberty range right here. We literally took TP1 and then we kind of retraced. And the crazy part about it was that my stops were literally like I'll show you the exact stop right here. Was basically where the market like tapped a couple times right here, right? So we tap, and then Sunday opens and boom, we like smashed like multiple like TP levels. So I say that to say that the original thought process with NAS, very, very similar to like what we saw with gold that we were just showing right now, where we had like a whole descending type of wedge, right? And price kind of squeezed in here, and then we had a breakout, a retracement, and a continuation, right? This same type of price action is what I'm seeing right now personally for NAS, where I had been seeing, okay, I was looking for sells in general. We started seeing price kind of work its way down. But as soon as we tap into this imbalance here on these higher time frames and we started rejecting, we see that we kind of come up and we make this little support level that I have marked here. You have price sitting here, we do come below, but recover right away and kind of sit at this level. And you can see high point, high point, high point, high point. So all of this is like liquidity that I look at, basically to come and be taken out eventually. So I think that's where we're headed right now with NAS. I think that Sunday has really shown its hand as to where NAS wants to go. I'm very hesitant with just jumping into stuff with a lot of volume because I do expect fake outs like that. However, this is a very strong breakout where we have broken multiple highs, like 1, 2, 3 highs, breaking and closing above them. So right now, if I had to call it how it is, I would say that really these 2 points are like our retracement zone right here. And if NAS can kind of come back somewhere in here, I would want to buy this up and basically break a new high in the range. Once we break the new high over here at like 18,500, I'd be taking profits and out of that trade at that point. So I think overall, I will see a bullish NAS as well as a bullish gold, to be quite honest with you. Everything's just kind of bullish right now. So as far as my strategy, I do have to let the next couple of hours play out, about the next 4 hours, and then we'll have this range complete and kind of know what direction we're gonna take it for the short term, right? But overall, definitely NAS, I think that we have seen low, put in new high, put in new high, and this has been one big retracement into this leg that is now gonna lead us to new highs. That's what I see for NAS. So yeah, Brent, I don't know if you want to give your input now for NAS.
I'm excited for NASA overall. With the pump that it did this morning, I'm excited for the news, the opening bell, because that means we're going to have some heavy, heavy moves at that time. So that's all I'm excited for. That's really what I do with NAS. With NAS, for me, it's more of just straight scalping, just opening bell at the moment and news. I know for you, that's why I take your trades whenever you're looking at it, because it's more of TP1, TP2, TP3. For me, it's just that, all right, bye. All right, trail stop. We're done. Have a good day. So that's really what I do with NAS and US 30, and that's really what this week is hinting at with high on gold, obviously touching everything, and then with all the news that we have, and then obviously the volume that's in there for NAS. And I like that it did the breakout. I did like that part. Like I was kind of hoping it didn't just stay there when it opened, or it just kind of dropped a little bit. I'm happy that it finally did that breakout on top of there. So yeah,
Yeah.
ready to have fun and scalp this week.
Yeah, I was expecting this literal move on Friday, like maybe late in the day. And it's so whack that I mean we took profits on the signals, but it was like a couple hundred pips. But this whole final target was like a whole another 1,500, and we were like almost there now. But it literally like tapped stop after we hit TP1, like basically at this level, and then Sunday just opened today out of nowhere, just so that's how it
Mhm.
goes, man. Like sometimes we're gonna have the right direction and idea in the market, but the timing and all the little details are where, it's out of our control. We just simply play our parameters and go from there. But yeah, I think overall, guys, the volume is gonna be coming in heavy into this Q2. Um, Now obviously I think tomorrow technically like it's a federal observation of Easter. Is that correct? Like I think tomorrow I'm kind of confused on that because a lot
I
of
don't know if
times,
it's one of those dates that closes early. Is it where like the market closes at noon? I know there's some holidays like that too where because there's news, so we should have bell, we should have everything. I think it's just more of because it doesn't say bank holiday. If not, it would say bank holiday.
yeah, exactly.
So it could be something to where the market closes at noon. That's the only thing that I could think of.
Mm,
It closes at it's a shorter day, like it'll open normal and then close around noon, something like that, 11 noon, and then open again
yeah.
at 5. But we'll
Yeah, because a
see.
lot of times like if a holiday lands on like towards a weekend, either the day before or after, they'll say it's being federally observed the next day. And so that's my only thing. I will say tomorrow, guys, in general, Mondays sometimes are kind of like the market makers turning on their systems type of day. And then some days like we just get straight into it. So it's always a toss up, but I think we gotta play it by ear. But if you guys see that the volume's not that crazy tomorrow for whatever reason, it's not a surprise coming off of a Easter or whatever. But I don't know. First of the month, new quarter, we might see some volume, especially with Sunday popping up like how it did. I think it's an indication of the type of day we probably get. So let's see, man.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. And ISM PMI is happening at 9. So that's a cool thing. So if the market is open tomorrow, I'm gonna see what the 7:30 does move, see what the opening bell does move, and then I'll actually take that. Because same thing, Mondays to me is just more of that setting up the quota, and then Fridays is correction Friday. So there's really the 2 days that I don't like touching much unless there's news. So I'm
yeah,
glad that the news is happening tomorrow at 9 and not earlier. So at least we'll let those two things kind of flow through, and then we'll take that trade at 9. But outside of that, yeah, I'm chilling until Tuesday.
fire. All right, y'all. So I think we are pretty much caught up on what to expect for the week ahead. I hope that, the fundamentals, the charts, and the conversations we've had tonight give you some clarity as to like, the type of biases and direction that we're kind of seeing these assets head for the week. More than anything, guys, you just want to take away from these Sunday market outlook calls, and I've said this before, it's just seeing the thought process of educators, like how we approach our week, right? Because the thing is, we're running these calls and having these convos in front of you guys, but regardless if we were educators or not, or whatever the case is, we would be looking on a Sunday night like, hey, where are my highs and lows? Where's my structure at? What's price doing currently? And then preparing, right? You gotta be prepared. The people that win in anything in life, they just are they get ahead of the day. They get ahead of the moment. So that when the moment comes, you're not reacting, you're responding, right? And that's a very slight detail and difference that, people have in life. is just kind of being caught on your heels, is what it's called, right? And when you have money on the line and you have to make very crucial time-based decisions to either win or lose profit, you gotta have a game plan. You gotta have contingency plans for different scenarios. So just the fact that you guys are on these calls, even if you may not even trade gold or NAS, you may not even take our trades. You probably are if you're on here, but the idea is that you're seeing what it's like to prepare. You're seeing what it's like to go through the motions of checking the folders and this and that. And just that repetition of understanding the processes that you got to go through on a Sunday or prior to trading. It's great for you to just build a foundation on